So let's go trick-or-treating, let's go fucking drinking, let's all go rent Pumpkinhead on VHS, cause Halloween never ends, Halloween never ends, Halloween never ends, yeah. Hey guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. I am Mike.
I am Jay.
And this is our HELLRAISER 2022 spoiler review.
Holy shit, they made another one. And guess what? Doug Bradley wasn't in it. Did it suck? I think so. But we're going to get into that.
So I put the standard review, like the non-spoiler review, up today. We're releasing this, I think, on Saturday after everybo's had a chance to see it. It's going to be on Hulu on Friday.
You guys are all drunk from Friday, aren't you?
I don't know what Jay's thoughts on this were. I gave it a 7.5. I thought it was pretty goddamn good.
That man fucking invested a lot in Charmin.
But I'll let you start off, man, because you haven't talked about it yet.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. And again, we're going to talk about specific scenes or moments or sequences that led us to our opinions, but I'm just gonna go over what I feel like, just a general thing.
This bitch got notes on his phone,
Dude,
dog.
Listen. I found a memo on my phone. This phone is from 1987.
You just found out about Notes, the Notes app.
I didn't know there was a memo on my fucking phone. And again, this phone is from 1987. You know, the year that Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, whatever. I can't even say the word. But anyhow, okay. So the strengths of the movie, and this is what I'll go through first because there's very few. But I will say strengths. Variation of Cenobites. I did enjoy that quite a bit. I thought it was cool to see different Cenobites that we hadn't sseen before, because the only other time you'd seen different Cenobites in the Hellraiser series was I think Hellseeker had one, Inferno had one. You never really had a very multitude of different Cenobites, which is unfair, and it's kind of shitty because Clive Barker had a very diverse group of Cenobites, and they all had different sins, which therefore caused them to look different, differently deformed. I always thought that was really interesting. Actually, I don't know if it was Todd McFarlane, but I had the Hellraiser action figures, and they all were different Cenobites, and they had their own stories on the back. It was cool as fuck, but this was cool to see the different variations that they did put in the movie. The atmosphere. I thought the atmosphere was really well done. I thought it was creepy. I definitely feel like it captured a Hellraiser-ish type feel, so I did like that a lot. The biggest thing I thought was cool was the expansion of the configurations and meanings behind each configuration of the Le Merchant box. So in the movie, you'll see that as you turn it, there are different meanings behind each form that the Le Merchant box takes on.
That was new.
I thought it was cool, yeah. Because that is, there's Leviathan, and that means one thing. If I want a bigger cock, well, that's going to be this one. Hey, I want more money. It's going to be this one. Hey, I want to be Jennifer Tilly's boyfriend. It's big boobies. It's just right there. The Merchant box.
I'll have that one. By the way.
That's good. But yeah, and so that was cool. I did like that. So you expanded the mythos a little bit. I did enjoy it. And then the music itself. The music was very nostalgic of the original Hellraiser movie, and it was very nostalgic of the Hellraiser series. They did not skimp on any type of money on that. So that's all throughout the entire movie. The drama, the scary parts, all that original Hellraiser movie music is there. So I thought that was cool. The weaknesses. Woo! So we're going to go in the first one. The running time. I thought it was way too fucking long of a movie. It was 2 hours. I think it came in and clocked in at 2 hours. I think it was way too long. I don't think you needed... This story definitely didn't need 2 hours. You probably did it in half that. Pinhead reduced to a simple follower. Did not like that at all. I felt like Pinhead was not what he was in the original Hellraiser. I feel like Pinhead in this was just another Cenobite, which I get that a lot of people were like, well, he's worshiping Leviathan, so he is just another cog in the machine. But that's not the Pinhead that I know and love.
It was kind of like a leader of the Buttercream gang.
But he was the leader of the Buttercream gang that still sucks the dick of the guy that really runs the jail cell.
It's kind of like Hellraiser 2.
But it was, but Pinhead was more of a dynamic, overpowering force in the movies before this, and now in this one he's just there, or she's there. No accent for Pinhead. I did not like the fact that they took, this is a very nitpicky thing, but what made Pinhead for me so frightening and set him aside from all the other characters in the horror realm was that he had this clipped British accent that and he would tell you exactly how he was going to torture you and exactly the way that he was going to diddle your dildo and
in the butt.
And exactly how he was going to make your life a miserable hell for the rest of your life like a wife, but he did it in a clipped accent, and it was scary in that way. I think that was truly different from all the other horror monsters because he was very intelligent, and you could tell that, and the accent helped that along. And again, it's not like it's required, and I know that there was no necessary accent in the Clive Barker original books, but to me it's like playing with James Bond. It's like James Bond doesn't have to be British, does he? Well, yeah, he does. I don't think you would really want to see a James Bond movie if he sounded like fucking Vin Diesel. Family.
No tears, please.
That's why casinos didn't hold me down because of family. So I didn't like that. The main character, didn't like her. Whiny, no direction, rushed development, not Kirsty Cotton.
So you're not talking about Jamie Clayton the Pinhead. You're talking about the main lead.
The main lead.
Yeah,
the main lead. So whiny, no direction, rushed development, not Kirsty Cotton. Kirsty Cotton was badass. I liked Kirsty Cotton amazingly. She was to me the same thing as Heather Langenkamp was in the original Nightmare on Elm Street 1. She was underdeveloped, not underdeveloped, but she was like one of those quiet strengths that you really got behind as a character. You were like, damn, that's awesome. There was no need to really do much with her because she naturally developed throughout the story. And you were like, damn, that girl's strong. She's smart too. She made a deal with Pinhead. She said, I suck at you under the table, bitch. And it was great. But I think this character was whining all the time. The writing was lazy, and then the development was there, and then it kind of fizzled out, and she was still an addict. I don't know, maybe she just didn't really have the same strength that Kirsty Cotton did. But that's my opinion.
Kirsty Cotton definitely better. Yeah, I agree.
So, and then another thing going into that, no dynamic between her or Pinhead. I feel like the dynamic between Kirsty Cotton and Doug Bradley was way more significant, way more amazing, and way more interesting. Much like Heather Langenkamp and Freddy Krueger or Robert Englund. I feel like they had great chemistry on screen. I don't think that there was any chemistry necessarily between these two. I feel like the dynamic wasn't there. And again, and that might have been the fault of the writing because I feel like Pinhead was just a follower at that point, so there wasn't really a need to build up the dynamic. But again, you cannot tell me that the confrontation or the meeting, the first time that Doug Bradley meets Kirsty Cotton in the original Hellraiser, he goes, "We will tear your soul." That was so fucking incredible, and it was so cool to see good versus evil. And this one, it doesn't feel like that. It just was like, yeah, okay, so you saw a really scary creature at Halloween Horror Nights 2022. Like, I don't know, it just didn't feel like it. So that was the. I think the overall characters were vapid with no real definition. I think that you had a lot of characters in the movie. I think mostly all of them. They felt like they were very generic, rushed of the mill kind of characters. So that was and then I feel like the one thing that it's not truly unforgivable for me, but when I saw him, I was like, God, what the fuck did you do, Ahem? Was Chatterer. They ruined that effect. Chatterer, the original Chatterer, the Cenobite, was amazing looking in the first Hellraiser, and you saw him in Hellraiser 2, and then you saw him in Blood. You didn't see him, but you know what I'm talking about. Chatterer was fucking awesome. It was one of the best looking Cenobites that. Like that, fucking dentist shits. But it was scary.
Not good at head. Chatterer, not good at head.
He will bite that dick off.
Never has been. Never will be.
He will bite that dick off faster than a Colombian chick. I promise you that.
Don't want that.
But he was definitely. He looked like that motherfucker need a sandwich. Like he looked like Elon Musk's AI walking out on stage like this.
Talk about that. So wait. Well, I don't like what they did with Chatterer because they fucking killed him.
Well, they killed him one. Yeah, that was stupid. But
I hated that. I hated that they killed Chatterer. But you didn't like Chatterer. I thought it was pretty.
I thought he looked like shit. I thought he looked like
really.
Dude, that motherfucker was from Ethiopia.
He was thin. He was definitely thinner.
Well,
I thought they did him well. I just thought they killed him, which I was like, holy shit.
I feel like it goes back to the same thing with I didn't like about the characters. They didn't have. There was something. It was cool to see a variety of different Cenobites, but they felt like they didn't have any personalities or they didn't have anything that set them apart from each other. And I know that you're going to say, well, the original Hellraiser, they all wore black leather, but they all were so different. And they all looked so different. They all had their own bulkiness and their own presence that it was so cool to see. Like Chatterer was the second in command. He was the lieutenant to Pinhead. This motherfucker looked like he just got off a fucking Richard Simmons weight loss program, and he need a sandwich now. I didn't like that at all. I did not like the way he looked at all. But that was my opinion about that. But I did like. This is one of the biggest things I hated about it. They messed with the mythos of the original Hellraiser in the fact that now you have to choose. So your finger gets sliced off by the fucking box, and they're like, it could be you, or you could choose somebody else to come on down.
It follows.
That's not how it worked in the original. If you open that box, bitch, you fucked. Because you got something in your heart that's dark and evil, and you need Jesus.
Well, it worked. It worked for a second, though, because, you remember the guy, he opens up the box on the playground or whatever. It doesn't actually... Well, when she opens it, it doesn't cut her.
No, because she misses that. She was smart enough than the average bear, and she's like, oops.
So there it made sense. If it doesn't cut you, it didn't get your blood, but you still
But it's still kind of... I just didn't like the fact that this shit is like, okay, so if you get fucking drugged, if you get roofied, you chosen. But otherwise, you have the choice to get someone else roofied. I like the idea, the inescapable fact that you were obsessed with something carnal, that you had exhausted all the carnal shit here on Earth, so you wanted to go the extreme, and you opened this box up for your own desires.
And we came.
And Pinhead came and took your ass down and said, I will suck your dick to oblivion with all sorts of pins in your head.
And then I'm not going to stop sucking. I'm going to keep sucking.
And that sounds like okay, but no, I didn't like the fact that this was like a random, you can choose to go. I mean, there was no choice. That's what was scary about Pinhead.
There is no choice.
Well, no, really. I mean, yeah, that's true. Pinhead was inevitable.
Best of the best.
If you opened the fucking box up, you were fucked. There was no choice. There was no escape. There is no escape from us. But it was like that. Like, I mean, that was what was terrifying. And that's why I never fucking touched a Rubik's Cube after I saw Hellraiser 1. Because I don't want to open up shit. But so I didn't like that at all. And that is messing with the mythology a lot. Because that never happened. It never happened in any of the movies or any of the... And by the way, you guys could... correct me if I'm wrong, but it might have happened in one or two comic book stories, but in the literature, that never happened either. It was usually people that had a dark desire that sought out the box, and that's what the box wanted them to open it, and it opened, and they got taken to hell to experience all this stuff. It wasn't like, oh, well, you opened it, and I guess if you just give us the money else, we'll let you go. It doesn't work like that, so I didn't like that at all. So the other thing is the writing. I mentioned that I think the writing was weak. I think the movie had a really weak writing. And then overall, by the way, I think it's too clean looking. There was something about it that just felt too clean. There was even Hellraiser Judgment. That was one of the movie that came out before this. The Hellraiser. It had the same dirty, down in the gutter kind of look to it and feel to it that the original Hellraiser one.
Because they had like $9 to make that movie.
And you know what? Give them $9 and see what they can do with it. Go to work, Jim. Because look, I mean, Deadpool was made on $50 million and it made billions. Well, but I just here's the thing. The overall what I said was about it. This is what I said. I said glorified and well-made fan film, reminiscent of a quickly produced early 2000s movie without the charm. Could have worked as a short 30-minute story in a TV series of the franchise. That's what I feel like overall the movie. I don't feel like it was a bad movie, not necessarily at all, but I feel like you shorten it down to about 30 to 45 minutes. You put it in a TV show based around the Cenobites and Hellraisers as an off thing. I think it's a great show. I give it a 5.0 to a 5.5, so I couldn't really decide where I wanted to land, but I'll probably give it a 5.5. But that's what my overall general feeling about it. But, well, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, I think it was cool to still get a Hellraiser movie.
No, you make good points about certain stuff for sure. Like the way I saw it when I watched it, though, like for instance, again, I did not like the main character at all. Like, did not like
the main girl.
The main girl, like the actor's fine. Like,
no, I don't care about the actor,
but the characters, like, unlikable.
Yeah.
Like, unlikable. And we spent half the movie dealing with this. Like, is she on drugs? Is she not? She's hanging out with this guy.
That's true.
Her brother doesn't approve, but then he's like, she's hanging out with this guy, and then they're drinking and smoking, and he's like, hey, break into this thing with me.
And she's doing bumps. She's coke.
Right. So obviously she's like pretending to be off of stuff, so she has a place to stay. But then like she's dating this hot dude, and he's like, do what I want. And she's like, okay, fine. So they break into this thing, they get the lament configuration, and then hell breaks loose. But I do think that like that is my main problem with the movie is the first half of it. I don't like her. I didn't like her boyfriend as characters. But that's not that far off for a Hellraiser movie. Like if you think about almost every Hellraiser movie, with the exception of Kirsty.
Yeah. I like Frank too.
Right. Well,
he's a piece of shit.
He was fucking asshole though. But like with the exception of Kirsty, like a lot of the characters, they have those dark things in their hearts. They are fucked up. They're no straight up heroes in this.
Yeah.
So I forgave that a little bit, but I totally agree with you. The first half of the film, I was going, hey, let's fucking go. Let's get on it.
It does take a while.
And I think that's where the 20 minutes you're talking about could have came from, for sure. But I will say this, like, as far as, like, the grody effects, like, it looked too clean. The thing about that I give it credit for is that if you look at every fucking sequel that we've had, like, all these sequels, the original two, I'd say probably two, had this nasty gooey effect to them.
Yeah.
That it's like, I don't know how you could recreate, right? Like, because it was so...
Well, just practical effects.
Yeah, like, and that's what I said about this movie. Like, it's so the gore is there, but you don't feel the need to take a shower. It like didn't have that fucking slime on top of it. So, but I actually thought that while it was clean, I gave that part a pass because the effects were done so poorly in some of the sequels that it's like it's actually nice to see a Hellraiser movie that has money behind it, that they actually did a good job with the effects with. It didn't feel like the original movie, but then again, none of the sequels did. Yeah. So this is the closest thing to me. Well, let me ask you this then. So and again, you gave it a 5.5 to a 5.5.
Yeah,
I gave it a 7.5. Yeah. Where would you rank this in, like, as far as the sequels go? To me, this is probably the best sequel of all of them.
No, I don't know about all that.
How would you rank that?
That's going to take me a while because I mean there are like you have to really like because here's the thing, Hellraiser 1 is classic as fuck and nothing's going to top it. I mean, no doubt. I mean, Doug Bradley.
It's definitely better.
Yeah, it's it. Hellraiser 2 is good, but Hellraiser 2 is just a continuation of Hellraiser 1. It's kind of the same dichotomy that you run in with Halloween, the original Halloween. By the way, I know it's 1978, motherfuckers. Can we please stop saying that in the comments? He's like, he said 1977. I got it. I was into a Star Wars thing at the time. But 1978 Halloween and the 1981 or 80 Halloween 2, it's the same movie. So it's kind of hard to break those into sequels. But I would put, just off the top of my head, I'd put Hellraiser, I'd put Inferno. I really would. I put Inferno as number 2. Dope. Inferno is like an amazing movie. That was straight to VHS, by the way, back in the day. I'd put Hellraiser 3 just because I like it's just up in your face, fucking crazy pants, insane shit. I'd put, and I'm not gonna do the whole fucking phrase because it takes long. Right. Bloodline, and then I would probably put I would put Judgment ahead. I'd put this movie probably at number 6. Because I wouldn't put it over. I'm not putting Deader over it, which Deader is sucks, and I'm not putting Hellworld. Hellworld is terrible, and I liked Hellseeker, but I'm not putting it, under them.
Well, I just think so for me, and that's the reason it's either my second or third favorite. I haven't really decided yet because like I do love Inferno. 2 had cool shit in it, but the second half they just fucking fell apart.
Yeah, I feel like it's
like
one
they
movie.
shit their pants in the second half of that movie for sure. For me, in this one, you actually had a movie that they had production value behind it, right? They had a good director behind it. It was clean. And sometimes the cleanness doesn't work that good or whatever. But for one, Voight, the character of Voight, fucking dope as shit. Did you at least like him? No, very Al Pacino.
And I didn't put that many notes. I think that would have been the better thing to focus on him as a character.
Yeah,
as a main character.
A lot.
No, I would have put him as the main character.
Oh yeah, I would have too. No,
and not done the Kirsty Cotton thing. Yeah, I would have just made him the main character, and guess what? The bad guys lose in the end. That's a perfect. That's why Inferno was so cool.
Yeah, and that was probably, and I think we'll probably agree with this. The coolest part of the movie was absolutely Voight and that whole that house that he had.
That was cool as fuck.
With like that fucking cage over top of it, and he had those sex dungeons and all that shit going on.
That reminded me of it really did remind me of 13 Ghosts when they would move the tiles.
Dude, that's kind of why the movie works for me so well, because they would center somebody off in like a part of this house, and then a different Cenobite would come after them. So it felt very 13 Ghosts.
Ghosts, Walter, downstairs.
Ghosts. But like when a different Cenobite would come after a different person, I was like 13 Ghosts, but done well. Like that was fucking cool to me. And then also, so Voight was so cool because he was very like Al Pacino-ish and kind of like suave.
I did like him
like that. But his whole thing and the way it opened was dope like that too. But where he had those notebooks and it's saying all the different things the configuration box were doing, they were adding lore to it, and it was smart the way it was done.
That was in my strengths. I did like that they expanded on that because that was the configurations and what they meant and how. That somebody would ask Leviathan for one of these things, but it had to be configured in the right way. I thought that was cool, and I did like that. I did enjoy that part.
What do you think about the fucking chest floss thing?
I thought it was, I did. I was like, I know, I liked it at first, and I was like, is that just like for chiropractic pain?
But dude,
it was nasty, but I was just like, because you could see the tendrils going, it would like do the spin thing.
When they explained it though, when they were like, these are all the nerves inside your body. So when that thing would lock up and you're like, oh god,
you know what?
Like that was like, I was like, I could feel that, dude. Because imagine all the nerves in your body all of a sudden being stretched.
You know what that's
like?
That motherfucker had like heartburn like taco night every night. Like imagine having the worst heartburn from Taco Bell ever, and it never went away, no matter how much Pepto-Bismol you drank.
And they had the balls to add on to the lore, like, which is not easy to do.
Well, no, but I think that might have been in the lore.
Right, and it may have been like in the story.
I'm not 100% sure, by the way.
But like when they stretch that atmosphere, I thought it got a little convoluted, like with how they explained, like, oh, you don't have to do it. You can jump to this person, or you can choose this person, or you can stab this person.
I also didn't like the easy out because when she was like, "You chose the Lemerchant."
Right.
Yeah, okay.
But then, and also one of the big things is, I love the fucking idea of, and here, so this is something they said about it. They said, David Bruckner said he would love to do more sequels because he got his feet wet with this a little bit. Mm-hmm. So he's like, now that I'm already into the universe and we already have a lot of the designs and a lot of this stuff going, I really want to make more movies. And I think some of the new Cenobites. So Mask, the dude that had like no fucking face behind him, creepy as fuck. Chatter was good and they fucking killed him. I do hate that. But like some of the Cenobites were cool, but they weren't explained, which they never really do in these movies.
No, you always have to like learn about them later on the internet or whatever.
But what they did with Voight, at the end of the movie, when Voight goes up and he's like, and she was like, I feel like we misjudged you.
Do you know what I really thought was going to happen there?
What?
I thought either he was going to come back as Gandalf the White, or he was going to come back as a new
Michael Jordan in a Wizard's uniform,
or a golf outfit. That motherfucker must shop at fucking Big and Tall. No, or I thought he was going to come back as a new Pinhead.
Oh, that would have been
like because you know what I felt like and again the new Pinhead. It's not, it has nothing. I know you're always going to compare it to Doug Bradley, but you took out the accent. I feel that was major mistake one, and it wasn't the look. The look I wasn't a fan of necessarily. I know it's more in line with what Clive Barker wrote about. I just felt that the delivery was not there. That the intimidation was not there. It did not feel like anything remotely what a Pinhead, in my opinion, the leader, the general of these Cenobites should like put on the battlefield. It wasn't there at all. I feel like what I felt like was it was like the beginning, like Leviathan was thinking like, okay, well, this is what I want, and at the end, Voight was going to be everything it wanted, right? And it was going to put
a new supreme being,
and that was going to put. And look, I was like, an old white man that fucking has a mansion that fucking turned it into the LaRoche configuration is scary as fuck. All you'd have to say is it's Trump. I'm kidding, by the way. I don't care who you call it.
My Leviathan's gonna be here. Here's Leviathan. Everyone's gonna come.
Listen, it's bigger than any hell. Bring it against my hell. I'll make your life a hell.
I'll say so. Going back, taking a step back before we talk about what ended up happening to Voight. As far as Jamie Clayton goes, as far as the new Pinhead goes, I agree with you that when I watched it, I thought she did a great job. Like I thought it was good. The voice was not as cool as I thought it was going to be. I expected when you add a female voice to that and it's supposed to sound scary, I wanted something a little bit scarier and freakier. I don't think that they did a bad job with it, but again. The movie sorely it missed Doug Bradley.
I think
it just did.
I think it
missed
was that,
Doug Bradley.
But I also think it's the writing. Like it just didn't.
The lines weren't cool enough.
Well, that and then it just didn't land. She didn't like. There was nothing about the presence that really made me. It's kind of like Jackie R. Haley, back with Freddy Krueger. I mean, Jackie R. Haley is a great actor. He really is. He's an awesome actor, and he does great as Rorschach in Watchmen. But when they put him as Freddy Krueger. It just didn't have the same panache that England had.
For me, when you have Doug Bradley doing it, and this is my thing, like I'm hoping in the sequels they'll really let Jamie Clayton, if they're gonna make that the main person, like the priest or whatever, make that the main person. I hope they will give them more scenery to chew on, because when Doug Bradley, when they marched him out there, he was like animated and like fucking going crazy and saying wild shit. And with Jamie Clayton's character, it was just kind of like, hey, say this line and like we are gonna fucking eat your butt.
But
and like there was no like panache or like over the top theatrics to it. They were just like, say the line, your voice is creepy, and that's good enough. I did feel like it did.
We will tear your butt apart.
I feel like Jamie Clayton did a good job, but it really did miss.
Well, here's the thing about Pinhead in the original Hellraiser 1. I mean, it was directed by Clive Barker, who was not a director, and it still did fucking awesome. You know what I mean? And it was working on a way less budget. The thing about Doug Bradley, and yes, Doug Bradley was a theatrically trained actor, and you can feel that gravitas when he's delivering those lines. But at the same time, he does have more lines than this Pinhead. But it doesn't matter, because overall in Hellraiser, the original Hellraiser, it's still significantly less than any other horror villain at that point. That was the whole idea, was like, he is supposed to be, when he shows up on screen, he is supposed to encapsulate all of that evil, all of that gravitas in one scene, and he does it. Look, there are just some people, there's just some written characters that just can't do the same.
It's a legendary Mount Rushmore horror character. I think the guy
but I will say, I think the guy that did it in Judgment did awesome. The guy in Judgment did fucking awesome, and I mean, like, obviously,
I have to go back and watch it again to be honest.
Well, I watched it. Like,
I didn't hate him.
No, I thought he did as much as he could do and he was trying to do his own thing, but not be Doug Bradley at the same time. But I feel like he delivered it in, again, it goes back to the saying that me and Mike have had from day one. The one guy that needs to be contacted to be fucking Pinhead is the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Lee Ronan.
No.
Lee Pace.
Lee Ronan was a great boxer from the 70s.
Lee Pace would be an amazing.
Because you know what it is. It's just again. I keep saying this. It's the gravitas. Yeah. It's just the personality of that person.
He chewed the scenery like nobody's fucking business. Well, like he took over the screen, and
it's not. But again, I don't think it's her fault. And I'm not saying nothing against her as an actor. or an actress, but it's the writing. I think the writing was wrong, and I think the part was wrong. That's just my opinion. That doesn't mean that they're a bad actress. It's just that you could be cast in the wrong part.
So
Jackie Earle Haley was cast in the wrong part.
Going from that part, I thought the coolest character in the whole movie was definitely Voight. I think you agree with that too.
Amazing, yeah.
That was a really
not
cool
amazing,
idea,
but he was good, yeah.
And how they did that thing. And I would like to see more of that. So at the end of the movie,
Would you be okay with him being Pinhead?
yes, I
would
think
too.
they did a great job. But I really want to see them take the character of the priest that they did and like do some more gravitas type stuff. But anyways, at the end of the day, at the end of the movie, what happens is a bunch of people die, same old shit, like the stuff that you know. There's a whole lot of, oh, I gotta stick this person with the box and then it's their fault and blah blah.
I hated that.
And that got a little convoluted. But at the end of the day, when the movie ends and Voight, they're like, I think we must judge you, son.
It was like that.
You're not a manager, you're an assistant manager. And they put the chains through him or whatever. When he goes into the light, and what I hated was her and her boyfriend in the car is like, I hope it's over. Is it really? But what was
stupid.
I didn't like that. But what I
That goes
did
back
like,
to writing, though. Yeah.
Yeah, what I did like was when they put Voight and they're like, it's time now, and he opens his eyes and he's like stripped of everything and he's white.
Yeah.
And then his mouth fucking rips open.
That was crazy.
I was like, that's dope as shit. I can't wait to see what kind of Cenobite he becomes and
He's gonna be a politician.
and this is so let me make clear, like, I agree with a lot of your points on the movie, but like going through it, like, again, not a big fan of the lead, not a fan of her boyfriend, didn't care about their story, was really uninterested in their story. But when they get to the house and the Cenobites start coming out and they start chasing people down and they start killing people, and the gore, while it wasn't as gross, there was some good, like when they degloved him, that was cool.
I thought
that was cool.
Listen, like, again, I didn't put this for strengths or weaknesses. The effects, though, overall, when they used the gore effects, they were really well done. And I give them credit for that, because I felt like a lot of it was practical. I didn't see a lot of CG shit. I did see some CG shit, but
nice mix.
But moreover, it felt very practical and organic, and I liked the way it flowed. So I do give them credit for that. So yeah, I mean, listen, I give like a 5.5. I'm gonna give it a 5.5. That's not the worst score in the world, because I've given other movies way less than that. That's still above average movie. Not the goddamn movie.
Do you want to suck my cock, Berserker? Do you want to make fuck, Berserker? Comment down below, let us know. We love your fucking faces, and we'll see you guys soon.
Till next Halloween.
See you in a year.
See you guys.
Sluts.
God, you guys are gonna hate this video.
Halloween never ends, suck my fucking dick, and I don't really care what Blumhouse fucking says. Put him in a box, or suck a fucking cock. You can say he's dead, but we all know he's not, yeah. So let's go trick-or-treating, let's go fucking